Chapter 4. The Law of Falling. The captain continued. This happened in the year 185 by objective time calculation. Saint Venoma had been taken for his merits from the planet Sor to the holy planet Purgatory, where, after he had familiarized himself with his new surroundings and new duties, he gave all his free time to his favorite work. And his favorite work was to seek what new phenomena could be found in various combinations of already existing law-conformable phenomena. And some time later, in the course of these occupations, this Saint Venoma first constated in cosmic laws what later became a famous discovery, and this discovery he first called the Law of Falling. This cosmic law, which he then discovered, Saint Venoma himself formulated thus: everything existing in the world falls to the bottom, and the bottom for any part of the universe is its nearest stability. And this said stability is the place or the point upon which all the lines of force arriving from all directions converge. The centers of all the suns and of all the planets of our universe are just such points of stability. They are the lowest points of those regions of space upon which forces from all directions of the given part of the universe definitely tend and where they are concentrated. In these points there is also concentrated the equilibrium which enables suns and planets to maintain their position. In this formulation of his, Saint Venoma said further that everything when dropped into space, wherever it may be, tends to fall on one or another sun or on one or another planet, according to which sun or planet the given part of space belongs to. Where the object is dropped, each sun or planet being for the given sphere the stability or bottom. Starting from this, Saint Venoma reasoned in his further researches as follows: if this may be so, may it not therefore be possible to employ this cosmic particularity for the locomotion we need between the spaces of the universe? And from then on, he worked in this direction. His further saintly labor showed that although in principle this was in general possible, yet it was impossible fully to employ for this purpose this law of falling discovered by him, and would be impossible owing solely to the atmosphere around most of the cosmic concentrations, which atmospheres would hinder the straight falling of the object dropped in space. Having constated this, Saint Venoma then devoted his whole attention to discovering some means of overcoming the said atmospheric resistance for ships constructed on the principle of falling. And after 3 Looniases, Saint Venoma did find such a possibility. And later on, when the building of a suitable special construction had been completed under his direction, he proceeded to practical trials. This special construction had the appearance of a large enclosure, all the walls of which were made of a special material, something like glass. Then to every side of that large enclosure were fitted things like shutters, of a material impervious to the rays of the cosmic substance Saliakooriapa. And these shutters, although closely fitted to the walls of the said enclosure, could yet freely slide in every direction. Within the closure was placed a special battery generating and giving this same substance Saliakooriapa. I myself, your reverence, was present at the first trials made by Saint Venoma, according to the principles he had discovered. The whole secret lay in this, that when the rays of Helicoptermatizens were made to pass through this special glass. Then in all the space they reached, everything usually composing the atmosphere itself or planets, such as air, every kind of gas, fog, and so on, was destroyed. This part of space became indeed absolutely empty and had neither resistance nor pressure, so that if even an infant being pushed this enormous structure, it would move forward as easily as a feather. To the outside of this peculiar structure, there were attached appliances similar to wings, which were set in motion by means of this same substance, helicoptermatizin, and served to give the impetus to move all this enormous construction in the required direction. The result of these experiments having been approved and blessed by the Commission of Inspection under the presidency of Archangel Adosius, the construction of a big ship based on these principles was begun. The ship was soon ready and commissioned for service, and in a short time, little by little, ships of this type came to be used exclusively on all the lines of inter-system communication. Although later, Your Right Reverence, the inconveniences of this system gradually became more and more apparent. Nevertheless, it continued to displace all the system that had existed before. It cannot be gainsaid that although the ships constructed on this system were ideal in atmosphereless spaces, and moved there almost with the speeds of the rays Etzikolnianakhnian issuing from planets, yet when nearing some sun or planet, it became real torture for the beings directing them, as a great deal of complicated maneuvering was necessary. The need for this maneuvering was due to the same law of falling, and this was because when the ship came into the medium of the atmosphere of some sun or planet which it had to pass, it immediately began to fall towards that sun or planet. And as I have already intimated, very much care and considerable knowledge were needed to prevent the ship from falling out of its course. While the ships were passing near any sun or planet whatsoever, their speed of locomotion had sometimes to be reduced hundreds of times below their usual rate. It was particularly difficult to steer them in those spheres where there was a great aggregation of comets. That is why great demands were then made upon the beings who had to direct these ships, and they were prepared for these duties by beings of very high reason. But in spite of the set drawbacks of the system of Saint Venoma, it gradually, as I have already said, displaced all the previous systems. And the ships of this system of Saint Venoma had already existed for 23 years when it was first rumored that the angel Hariton had invented a new type of ship for inter-system and interplanetary communication. Chapter 5. The System of Archangel Hariton. And indeed, soon after this rumor, practical experiments opened to all, again under the superintendence of the great Archangel Adosia, were made with this new and later very famous invention. This new system was unanimously acknowledged to be the best, and very soon it was adopted for general universal service, and thereafter gradually all previous systems were entirely superseded. That system of the great Archangel, now Archangel Hariton, is now in use everywhere at the present day. The ship on which we are now flying also belongs to this system, and its construction is similar to that of all the ships built on the system of the angel Hariton. This system is not very complicated. The whole of this great invention consists of only a single cylinder shaped like an ordinary barrel. The secret of this cylinder lies in the disposition of the materials of which its inner side is made. These materials are arranged in a certain order and isolated from each other by means of amber. They have such a property that if any cosmic gaseous substance whatever enters the space which they enclose, whether it be atmosphere, air, ether, or any other totality of homogeneous cosmic elements, it immediately expands, owing to the mentioned disposition of materials within the cylinder. The bottom of this cylinder barrel is hermetically sealed, but its lid, although it can be closely shut, yet is so arranged on hinges that at a pressure from within it can be opened and shut again. So, your right reverence, if this cylinder barrel is filled with atmosphere, air, or any other such substance, then from the action of the walls of this peculiar cylinder barrel, these substances expand to such an extent that the interior becomes too small to hold them. Striving to find an outlet from this, for them, constricted interior, they naturally pressed also against the lid of the cylinder barrel, and thanks to the set hinges, the lid opens and, having allowed these expanded substances to escape, immediately closes again. And as in general nature abhors a vacuum, then simultaneously with the release of the expanded gaseous substances, the cylinder barrel is again filled with fresh substances from outside, with which in their turn the same proceeds as before, and so on without end. Thus the substances are always being changed, and the lid of the cylinder barrel alternately opens and shuts. To this same lid there is fixed a very simple lever which moves with the movement of the lid, and in turn sets in motion certain also very simple cogwheels, which again in their turn revolve the fans attached to the sides and the stern of the ship itself. Thus, your right reverence, in spaces where there is no resistance, contemporary ships like ours simply fall towards the nearest stability. But in spaces where there are any cosmic substances which offer resistance, these substances, whatever their density, with the aid of this cylinder, enable the ship to move in any desired direction. It is interesting to remark that the denser the substance is in any given part of the universe, the better and more strongly the charging and discharging of this cylinder barrel proceed, and in consequence, and of course, the force of the movement of the levers is also changed. But nevertheless, I repeat, a sphere without atmosphere, that is, a space containing only world ethereal, is for contemporary ships also the best, because in such a space there is no resistance at all, and the law of falling can therefore be fully employed in it without any assistance from the work of the cylinder. Further than this, the contemporary ships are also good because they contain such possibilities that in atmosphereless spaces an impetus can be given to them in any direction, and they can fall just where desired without the complicated manipulations necessary in ships of the system of Saint Venoma. In short, your right reverence, the convenience and simplicity of the contemporary ships are beyond comparison with former ships, which were often both very complicated and at the same time had none of the possibilities of the ships we use now.